Flagstaff, Arizona is an incredible city full of culture, history, and great attractions. It makes for an ideal stop if you're headed to Arizona. You'll be able to see ancient ruins, climb through lava-hardened caves, grab a bite in historic downtown, and much more. So stay tuned as Vucation presents the best things to do in Flagstaff, Arizona. Historic downtown. It's not a bad idea to start off your journey to Flagstaff with an exploration of historic downtown. It's centrally located, so it's not only a cool place to wander around, but also an ideal spot for starting off the rest of your Flagstaff journey. Long ago, railroad tracks ran through Flagstaff. While these particular ones aren't utilized anymore, you'll be able to see them as you wander around downtown. It's also the spot where Route 66 crossed through the city. The historic aspect also comes from the fact that most of the buildings in downtown are from the early part of the 20th century. There are a lot of ornate and well-kept brick structures in a variety of architectural styles. You'll see neoclassical and Romanesque revival buildings next to Art Deco and Italianate ones. In particular, architecture lovers will want to check out the Weatherford Hotel. The Babbitt Brothers building is also another cool sight, as it houses what used to be the train station, but now serves as the area's visitor center. Of course, inside all these old and gorgeous buildings are a nice variety of shops, restaurants, and other necessities. Flagstaff is known in particular for its great cafes, which isn't surprising given the amount of local college students in the area. Grand Falls. Did you know Flagstaff boasts a waterfall taller than Niagara Falls? It might seem crazy if you're unfamiliar with Grand Falls, but they sit at more than 183 feet tall. Niagara varies in height, but it's in the range of 167 to 175 feet. So it shouldn't be a surprise that Grand Falls is a must-see in Flagstaff. Technically, it's not in the city, but it's only an hour drive northeast to the Painted Desert, and it's well worth it to see this incredible sight. It's a relatively narrow falls, so don't expect it to be bigger than Niagara in all dimensions. And it's also a fascinating falls to see because of the color of the water. There's a lot of mud in the water, giving it a brownish hue. As such, sometimes people refer to it as Chocolate Falls. It's fed from the Colorado River, and it's actually situated on the land of the Navajo Nation. One important thing to note is that unlike Niagara, it doesn't actually flow all year round. It tends to be affected by the snow melting in the White Mountains, which then runs off to the falls. But if you visit during a time of year when there isn't much snowmelt, you might just see a dry cliff. So the best time to catch Grand Falls in all its glory is March and April. Lava River Cave. While you're visiting Grand Falls, another great option north of the city is the Lava River Cave. It's a cavern that was created when a local volcanic vent erupted around 700,000 years ago. That means it's a cave that has an almost liquid look to its walls because of the lava that flowed over it and then hardened. You'll love looking at it and touching the rippling cave walls as you explore. Plus, you can check out the icicles hanging from the top of the cave. We use that term loosely because they're not made of ice, but the hardened lava that once stripped down the top of the inside of the cave has stayed firm, giving that classic icicle look. The cave is located in the Coconino National Forest, and it's largely undeveloped, so you'll feel as if you traveled back in time as you wander further and further into the cave. It actually goes for about 0.6 of a mile underground. Riordan Mansion State Historic Park. Just next to the campus of Northern Arizona University sits the Riordan Mansion. In 1978, it received protected status from the state, so it's been known as Riordan Mansion State Historic Park. It was constructed in 1904 for Timothy and Michael Riordan. They were wealthy businessmen who thrived in the lumber business, and they lived in the mansion with their wives, who, oddly enough, were sisters. Today, it's no longer a residence, but serves as a museum that houses a number of pieces celebrating arts and crafts from the area and around the country. There are a ton of great artifacts and art pieces to check out, as well as really cool rooms full of period furniture and furnishings. And you'll learn about the history of the family who lived there. Flagstaff Extreme. When you're ready for a little physical activity on your trip to Flagstaff, you should definitely check out Flagstaff Extreme. Your heart will race with excitement as you check out their various obstacle courses and zip lines. And you won't have to drive an hour to get there, as it's located just slightly south of the center of the city. The adventure is set amongst a forest full of pine trees, and the folks at Flagstaff Extreme have utilized the height of the trees and the beauty of the area to set up courses that will have you climbing, swinging, and yelling out in fun. It boasts the biggest suspended challenge course in all of Arizona. You'll be climbing on top of nets and trying to keep your balance as you climb across suspended rope bridges, safely of course, and you'll zip through the forest, admiring the scenery above and below you on their many zip lines. It's an adrenaline-fueled adventure that anyone with a hankering for a rush will thoroughly enjoy. There are 5 courses in total and more than 30 zip lines. Arizona Snowbowl. Only a 30-minute drive from Flagstaff is the Arizona Snowbowl, perhaps the finest mountain in the state for skiing and snowboarding. And yes, when you think of Arizona, you usually picture deserts and other dry, hot areas. But Arizona gets its fair share of snow, so don't be afraid to head there in the winter months for skiing that rivals some of the mountain states. The Arizona Snowbowl was created in 1938 and is part of the San Francisco mountain range. It has 8 chairlifts to go along with 55 runs. It was created on the western side of Mount Humphreys, which is a gigantic peak, so the ski mountain peak sits at almost 13,000 feet. On clear days, you can actually see all the way to the Grand Canyon. It offers skiers and snowboarders a pretty hefty vertical drop of about 2,300 feet and includes 3 separate terrain parks. There are some great accommodations available at the base of the mountain should you want to spend a few days there. And like many famous ski mountains, it's not only great during the snow-covered months, it's a fantastic spot for mountain biking and hiking in the summer months too. Plus, the changing leaves make for gorgeous surroundings in the fall. Lowell Observatory. If you're a fan of the ex-planet Pluto, then you might already be familiar with the Lowell Observatory. That's because it was at Lowell in 1930 that the planet, now referred to as a dwarf planet, was discovered. The observatory was founded in 1894 by famed astronomer Percival Lowell, making it one of the earliest observatories built in the U.S. And it's more than just a place where Pluto was spotted. It has served as an observatory and research center that has made a number of very important findings over the years. When the Apollo program was being developed at NASA, they sent astronauts to Lowell for training, so it's a pretty big deal in the astronomical world, to say the least. When you visit, you'll be able to not only see their many exhibits and pieces that teach about astronomy and its history, but you'll also be able to look through the telescopes on site and get an incredible view of the night sky. There are plenty of interactive exhibits and models that illustrate the complexity of the solar system we live in, as well as frequent lecturers who educate visitors on a range of astronomical topics. It sits on a hill in Flagstaff, a little bit west of the center of the city. Wupatki National Monument. If you're at all into archaeology, you'll love the Wupatki National Monument. It's a series of ruins and old settlements that were once used by the ancient Pueblo people. Only about an hour drive from city center, the Wupatki National Monument is located in the Colorado Plateau. It's a gorgeous setting and a fantastic way to see historic structures and learn about the people who once lived in this area. The biggest settlement in the ruins is called Wupatki, which translates to tall house in the language of the Hopi tribe. It's a grand structure with more than 100 rooms to check out. There's even a court that was once used for athletic competitions centuries ago. It's been said the ancient Pueblo people began living in the area around the 5th century AD. And the best guess is that the settlements were abandoned around 1225. It's a remarkable way to explore the architecture of long ago and learn about the culture and ways of an ancient people who used to inhabit the area. Now it's time to hear from you. Have you ever visited Flagstaff? If so, did we miss any of your favorite spots? And if not, do you think you'll ever get there? Let us know in the comments section below.